I went to a place where the world seems to have paused, yet chaos never stops. Gaza. I had seen conflict before, but nothing prepares you for the weight of it. The rawness of human suffering, pressed so close you can almost feel it in your own chest. It changes you. It changes how you breathe, how you see people, how you weigh your own choices. You realize very quickly how fragile life is. A single decision, a single step, and everything can shift. Children playing one moment, fear and loss the next. It forces a reckoning inside you, an understanding that every second matters and that the smallest act of kindness can echo louder than the roar of destruction around you. There is a responsibility that falls upon you when you witness such things. You cannot turn away. There is a moral duty that gnaws at your conscience, urging you to act, to speak, to do something, anything, rather than remain silent. It is not always clear what action is right, but doing nothing is never an option. But the cost of war is not just in the buildings, the streets, or the rubble. It is in the quiet moments, in the eyes of those who have endured what no one should endure. You see the weight of survival etched on faces, hear it in voices, and it changes your understanding of justice, of mercy, of humanity itself. And yet, in the midst of all that, you see something astonishing. Resilience, hope, ordinary people refusing to give up, finding laughter in the smallest victories, clinging to life and dignity in circumstances that should have crushed them. It is humbling. It is a lesson that the human spirit, even when battered, is capable of extraordinary strength. When I left, I was not the same. I carry their stories, their courage, their suffering with me. It is a reminder that life is not to be taken lightly, that the world is both fragile and resilient, cruel and beautiful, and it is a call to live differently, to act with intention, to honor those who cannot be heard, and to ensure that the lessons of this place are not forgotten. This moment, this place, it changed me forever, and I will never walk away from it, because to do so would be to forget what truly matters. When you find yourself in a place of conflict, it is impossible to remain unchanged. The air itself feels heavy, thick with tension and loss. You enter with a set of assumptions, a certain confidence in what you know, and the world immediately strips that away. You see the consequences of violence on the people who did nothing to deserve it, on children whose innocence is stolen before they even understand what is happening. You see parents forced into impossible choices, neighbors who once shared laughter, now standing apart in fear. And in that moment, you realize how fragile you have been in your own life, how much you have taken for granted. The transformation begins quietly, almost imperceptibly. You start to notice things you had overlooked, the small acts of courage that persist despite danger, the generosity of someone who has nothing to give, the resilience in faces lined with hardship. You begin to feel the weight of responsibility, not just for yourself, but for the awareness you carry. To witness suffering is to be called to bear it, to let it shape the way you see the world and how you move within it. And it is not about heroism or grand gestures. It is about the change within, a subtle shift in priorities, in empathy and understanding. In this crucible, fear and despair exist side by side with courage and hope. You learn that the human spirit is both fragile and unbreakable. You begin to question your own choices, your own indifference in the past, and you find an unspoken commitment forming within you to act differently, to live differently. Every moment, every interaction becomes a measure of how you honor the lessons you have seen. By the time you leave, you are no longer the same person who arrived. The transformation is permanent. Conflict strips away illusions, revealing truths about humanity and about yourself that are impossible to ignore. You return to the world carrying the weight of what you have witnessed, and with it a new clarity that life is both precious and precarious, and that the way you respond to its suffering defines who you are. Life, you realize, is far more fragile than you ever understood. One moment, everything feels ordinary, predictable, safe. The next, it can be gone, snatched away in a heartbeat by circumstances beyond your control. You witness it in the smallest details. A child stepping into a street, a parent caught unawares, a home reduced to rubble. There is no warning, no logic that can protect you from it. The fragility is not just physical, it is emotional, psychological, spiritual. You see people stripped bare by events they did not choose, and you feel deep inside how easily any of us could be in their place. It is not a fear that paralyzes, but an awareness that sharpens every sense. You begin to notice things you would have ignored before. The warmth of sunlight on your skin, the laughter of someone you love, the simple act of breathing without pain or threat. These moments, once mundane, become sacred because you understand how easily they can vanish. You recognize that life is not a guarantee but a fleeting gift, and that your choices, your attentiveness, your compassion can make all the difference in a world that so often seems indifferent. In witnessing fragility, you also see courage. You see people who continue despite knowing how easily everything could be taken from them. They live fully, fiercely, refusing to surrender to despair. And in observing this, you are changed. You no longer take your own life for granted. You carry a new respect for every heartbeat, every step, every fleeting second. It is a weight you accept willingly because it reminds you that the smallest act, the smallest connection can carry profound significance. By the time you leave, the world looks different. Fragility is not weakness. It is the mirror that shows the value of life itself. And you carry it with you, a constant reminder that every moment is precious, every person irreplaceable, and that the measure of your existence is found not in what you avoid losing, but in what you choose to protect, to honor, and to cherish while you still can. There comes a moment when witnessing the world as it is demands more than observation. It demands action. Even when the path is unclear, even when fear tugs at your every instinct, you realize that standing by, pretending not to see, is a choice too. And often the easiest choice is also the heaviest to bear. In the midst of suffering, you understand that moral duty is not theoretical. It is visceral. It presses down on you, insisting that you respond, that you step forward, that you bear witness with both courage and integrity. Responsibility in such moments is not measured in applause or recognition. It is measured in conscience. Every glance, every decision, every hesitation carries weight. You feel the invisible burden of knowing that your presence, your voice, your choices, even the smallest ones, matter to someone else, sometimes in ways you will never fully comprehend. And yet, action is rarely simple. There are no clear instructions, no guarantees that what you do will make a difference. The uncertainty itself tests you, forces you to confront your own limitations, your own fears, your own moral compass. But you also learn that responsibility cannot be deferred. To see injustice and remain passive is to participate in it, even unintentionally. You are compelled to examine your own life, your own habits, your own capacity for empathy. You begin to understand that moral duty is not a burden imposed by others. It is a choice you make every day in how you live and how you act. It is the quiet decision to speak when silence is easier, to help when indifference is safer, to remain steadfast when surrender tempts you. By the time you leave such a place, you're transformed. Responsibility has become inseparable from who you are. You carry it forward, not as a punishment, but as a purpose, a guide for how to move through the world. You understand that while you cannot solve all suffering, you can refuse to ignore it. You can honor the lives around you by acting with conscience, with courage, and with unwavering commitment to what is right, even when it is difficult, even when it costs you something. In embracing this duty, you find not only purpose, but a measure of yourself that could never be revealed in comfort or ease. War leaves marks that go far deeper than the ruins it creates. You see the buildings shattered, the streets scarred, the homes reduced to ash, but the true cost is carried quietly, etched into the faces of those who survive. Children who should know only play and laughter instead carry fear and grief beyond their years. Parents who once guided with gentle hands are forced to make impossible choices, choosing between safety and survival, between hope and despair. The loss is not only physical, it is spiritual, emotional, and often invisible to the world that watches from a distance. Everywhere you look, the consequences ripple outward. Friends are lost, families are broken, communities are torn apart, trust is shattered, and the bonds that hold people together are tested beyond recognition. You hear the silence that follows an explosion, the stillness that speaks louder than words, the emptiness left when a life is taken too soon. It is a heavy lesson that the machinery of war may end in treaties and headlines, but the human heart carries its scars for a lifetime. And yet, amid the devastation, you witness resilience. People rebuild piece by piece, not because the pain is gone, but because hope insists on returning. You see courage in the smallest acts, sharing food with a neighbor, comforting a frightened child, speaking out when fear urges silence. The cost of war is immense, but it also reveals the capacity for endurance, the stubborn strength of humanity that refuses to be entirely crushed. The experience leaves you profoundly changed. You carry the weight of what you've seen, and it reshapes how you understand justice, compassion, and mercy. You cannot forget the suffering, nor can you ignore it. It becomes a lens through which you view the world, a call to honor those who endure, and a reminder that peace is not merely the absence of violence, but the presence of empathy and understanding. In witnessing the cost of war, you learn the value of life, the fragility of hope, and the extraordinary courage it takes simply to survive. Even in the darkest places, you see something that refuses to be extinguished. Amid destruction, fear, and despair, people find a way to keep going. It is not loud or boastful. It is quiet, stubborn, and profoundly human. A child smiles despite hunger. A parent comforts despite exhaustion. Neighbors share what little they have with those who have even less. This resilience is not born of ignorance of the danger surrounding them. It is born of necessity, courage, and an unyielding refusal to surrender to hopelessness. Hope, you realize, is not some fleeting illusion. It is a choice, a daily act of defiance against circumstances that would demand despair. It is found in the smallest gestures, a hand offered to help someone rise, a song sung in a darkened street, laughter shared even when tears are close behind. It is in these moments that humanity shows its deepest strength, its capacity to endure when everything seems designed to break it. Observing this, you cannot help but be transformed. You understand that hope and resilience are contagious. They teach you that even when the world is cruel, the human spirit can shine brighter than the shadows. You also see that resilience requires action. It is not passive. It demands courage, sacrifice, and a refusal to let suffering define you entirely. People continue, rebuild, and persist, not because their pain is less, but because they refuse to be ruled by it. This quiet strength inspires a profound respect, a recognition that the measure of life is not only in what is taken from us, but in what we do in response. When you leave such a place, you carry a new perspective. You see that even in the most hopeless circumstances, the human spirit can endure, adapt, and even flourish. The hope you witness is a reminder that life is not only about survival. It is about courage, perseverance, and the ability to rise again, time and time again, despite the odds. It leaves you changed, carrying a sense of possibility that is both humbling and empowering. A lesson that cannot be forgotten. When you leave a place that has shown you both the depths of suffering and the heights of human courage, you cannot return to your old life unchanged. The memories follow you, lingering in quiet moments, in conversations, in the way you see the world. And with those memories comes a responsibility, a pledge to live differently, to act differently, to honor the lessons you have been given. It is not a promise made lightly, nor is it born of pride. It is a solemn acknowledgement that what you have witnessed demands action, however small, in the life you continue to lead. This pledge is to carry the stories of those who cannot be heard, to bear witness to their struggles, and to let their courage guide your own choices. It is to recognize that your life is intertwined with the lives of others, that indifference is a luxury you can no longer afford. You commit to seeing the world with clearer eyes, to understanding that every act, every word, every gesture matters, and that your actions can either honor or diminish the humanity around you. The pledge is also to act with intention, to step forward when silence is easier, to reach out when fear urges retreat, to confront injustice even when it is inconvenient or uncomfortable. It is a recognition that change begins not with grand gestures, but with consistent, deliberate choices that reflect the lessons of compassion, courage, and resilience you have witnessed. Every day becomes an opportunity to embody those principles, to let the suffering you have seen transform into empathy, purpose, and action. By embracing this responsibility, you carry hope forward. You carry it not as a burden, but as a guide, an unshakable reminder that even one life, one person, can make a difference. The pledge is enduring, a quiet but unwavering commitment to honor the human spirit, to defend what is right, and to ensure that the experience does not fade into memory, but continues to shape every step you take. It is the promise to live with integrity, courage, and compassion, and in doing so, to be changed forever in the way you walk through the world. In the end, the journey through suffering, resilience, and responsibility leaves no one unchanged. You return to the world carrying the weight of what you have seen, the voices of those who endured, and the lessons of courage, hope, and humanity. You understand that life is fragile, that every moment matters, and that indifference is a choice you can no longer make. You carry a moral duty, a responsibility to act, to honor, and to protect what is precious in the world. But more than duty, you carry hope, the extraordinary quiet force that allows people to endure, to rise, to rebuild even when all seems lost. It is this hope that inspires action, this resilience that reminds you of the strength inherent in the human spirit. And it is this combination, awareness, responsibility, and hope, that transforms not only the way you see the world, but the way you live in it. So as you move forward, you carry a pledge to act with integrity, to speak when silence tempts you, to choose compassion over convenience, and to let every decision reflect the lessons of courage, endurance, and empathy you have witnessed. Because to forget would be to betray what you have learned, and to ignore would be to deny the humanity that binds us all. This experience leaves you forever changed, not in bitterness or fear, but in purpose and resolve, a determination to live differently, to honor those who suffer, and to ensure that hope, even in the darkest moments, is never extinguished. And in that you find the truth that one life, when guided by conscience and courage, can carry the weight of the world and still illuminate the path forward.